During the mid-1800s, Alexander II became Tsar. He didn't do much to hurt the Jews, but in 1881 he got assassinated by a terrorist bomb. The terrorist group that killed Alexander II had stepped up and led the government. They held hostilities against the Jews, though. They also passed anti-Semitic laws stating that they could prosecute the Jews and terrorize them. Pogroms were developed as well. These were a group of people that would target a certain group of ethnicity or religion. Pogroms got thrilled when they would persecute the Jews. If a non-Jew wanted to, they could even throw a baby out of a window. He would not even get in trouble. He could even exterminate a family as a whole. Because of this, over 90% of the Jews headed for America. America was great for the Jews because it had religious freedom and job opportunities. They would not be persecuted in America. They'd be treated just like any other citizen.
Life in America was not much easier. The first step in settling in America was just getting there. They would have to get on a steamship, and most immigrants were not very wealthy, and would have to stay in steerage. Steerage was the lowest class a person could travel because they would be in cramped quarters for weeks with no little food and no fresh air. Steerage was the most crowded because no one had any money, and it was all they could afford. This meant that many diseases would strike because of poor health care and not many people having enough money for medicines. Many people on the ship would get very sick with other diseases due to tight, compact spaces, not enough breathable air, and contagious illnesses brought on the ship by other sick passengers. They would finally get to America. The Jews would have to go through Ellis Island, and they would be fully inspected for diseases and serious background checks. The new immigrants would have to stay there for days. They would be released out into the new world. In some cases, they would have to be sent back to Russia because they did not pass the inspection fully. Most of them did get out and got to experience America. Many of them settled in urban areas since there were more jobs and it was cheaper to live. Well, the conditions were not great. Most of the new Jewish immigrants were poor and had to live in tenements. Tenements were very small apartments that had very high company rates. The work life was not great either, since they did not have great education. They would have to work in sweatshops. These were factories that were in conditions that were very dangerous and unsafe. The workers were treated poorly for long hours for little pay. The Russian immigrants worked very hard to get to this point and did not get all of the benefits America had as the common man. North Africa is one of the fastest-growing immigrant groups in America. About 38,901 Muslim refugees entered America in 2016 alone. The reasoning behind is why so many people left their homeland is because of political instability in this region and economic opportunities. They also fled to America and other neighboring countries because of the Syrian civil war. But before this happened, Syria had been led by a president, Bashar al-Assad. He had been president since July of 2000. The violence leading up to this war started in March of 2011. Due to the arrest of a group of teen and children for writing political graffiti. This protesting and the protesting of others led to the Syrian government creating new plans that gave state employees an immediate salary increase, and also the government's plan to study lifting Syria's long-standing emergency. and licensing new political parties. However, Al-Hastad acknowledges that the government has not met people's needs and will not offer any concrete changes. This leads the people to rebel even more. But this, as tension is raised and the war becomes more pronounced, it leaves behind a trail of destruction, sadness, and over 2,200,000 people dead. People feared that the killing and suffering would not be over anytime soon, so they fled for their lives. Very few refugees even considered resettlement, but conditions went on. Countries of origin remain unstable, or there is danger of being prosecuted upon respiration. Some refugees are able to stay in refugee camps in other countries. Sadly, many countries are unable to accept refugees permanently. Resettlement in America is their last option, but is available to only a teeny fraction of the world's refugees. The U.S. government somewhat maintains a long-established humanitarian program that allows structurally in this country to a limited number of refugees who cannot safely return or stay in another country. This program is able to help as many as 10,000 refugees. About 10% of their refugees is undocumented in America, which means that they're here illegally, which is what they could have either been smuggled here or took a boat. But those who were documented once in America, they would have to go through an examination process. This process was conducted by a special agency like the Department of Homeland Security. The officers would have training for the screening process, as well as a specified training for Syrian and Iraq refugees cases. The first immigrant would be questioned. The officer would use biographical and biometric information about applicants to conduct a background check to make sure an applicant is really who they claim to be. Then an applicant would to pass an English and civilist test to become an American citizen. After passing this test, they would be let out into the new world. But 30% of Middle Eastern and North African refugees live in poverty. Compared to both total immigrant populations, 19%, and native-born population, 15%. They would also be more than twice as likely as the U.S.-born population, 12%, to be uninsured at 25%. But they are less likely to be uninsured compared to the overall immigration population, which is about 32%. Iraq immigrants, most of them came to the U.S. as refugees or special immigrant visa, SIV. This entitled allowed recipients a certain social benefits and the highest share of public health insured coverage, about 52% among all Middle East and North African countries. Even though this may not seem like a lot of help to people in the U.S., to them it really is, because they need all the help they can get. Due to Trump's new role as president of the USA, this is in jeopardy due to Trump's sign against the travel ban, which declines refugees access to come to America. This ban went in effect on October 18th, 2017, and it now affects Chad, Iran, Libya, North Korea, Somalia, Syria, and Yemen. But who knows when it'll be all over.